Making headlines tonight. The chairman of the National Assembly Committee on Foreign Affairs, International Cooperation, Propaganda and Information, Suryadhas held a briefing on the democratic process of the fifth mandate Commune Sankrat Council election with various ambassadors to the Kingdom of Cambodia at the National Assembly building. Cambodian Minister of Labour, It Samheng, gave thanks to extended his high appreciation for the achievements made by the ILO, which has continued to significantly contribute to the socio-economic development of Cambodia, as well as other member countries through the launch of the program promoting social justice and decent work for workers. Wildfire engulfed the Spanish mountains on Wednesday the 8th of June, forcing evacuation of dozens of residents from the town of Benavendes near Magala. China urged the US Australia to stop fabricating and spreading false information. China also told the US, Australia and the UK to come clean over nuclear weapon material transfer involved in UCAS. This is the Daily Roundup on EAC News Channel. A very good evening to you. I'm Anthony Ellis. The chairman of National Assembly Committee of Foreign Affairs, International Cooperation, Propaganda and Information, Suryadhas has held a briefing on the democratic process of the fifth mandate Commune Sankrat Council election with various ambassadors to the Kingdom of Cambodia at the National Assembly building on Wednesday afternoon. EAC News reporter Darshana Guchin has more.
According to Suryadhas, this election process was assessed as free, fair, and just, and also shows the maturity of political parties and voters in Cambodia. He said this election was non-threatening and non-violent, and in stark contrast to the elections held in 1993, when 440 people were killed in its surrounding violence. Since then, he said instances of violence have greatly reduced, as evidenced in the 2017 and 2018 elections, and especially during the 2022 election. For the fifth mandate Commune Sankrat Council election, Suryadhas said that in addition to the Cambodian People's Party, there were other parties that also won seats, including the main opposition, the Candlelight Party. According to preliminary results, the Candlelight Party received nearly 20% of votes and are the party with the second highest number of votes behind the CPP. NEC member Dum Sovanarom also said at the briefing that the election on Sunday was smooth, safe, and non-threatening, reflecting the steady progress of democracy in Cambodia. Providing an overview of the day of election voting, he said it was noteworthy that 23,602 polling stations at 1,652 communes nationwide simultaneously opened at 7 a.m. for all eligible voters to exercise their right to vote in favor of one of 17 running political parties. And according to preliminary results, at least 9 political parties were able to win seats in this Commune Sankrat Council election, reflecting the steady progress of democracy in Cambodia. He further outlined how the 2022 election was conducted in 4 stages, including digitized voter registration, party and political candidate registration, the election campaign period, and finally the vote count. He said, "The NEC has taken up 7 principles of independence, neutrality, impartiality, integrity, transparency, efficiency, professionalism, and service-mindedness." In this case, before the NEC adopted the regulations and procedures for this Commune Council 2022, the NEC asked for comments and recommendations from a total of 89 institutions, showcasing the NEC's cooperative work with all stakeholders in an objective manner. The briefing meeting was attended by members of the National Assembly, representatives and ambassadors to the Kingdom of Cambodia from 31 countries, representatives of international organizations, including the UNDP and the World Bank, as well as representatives from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Ministry of Interior, Ministry of Information, and the National Election Committee. The 5th Commune Sankrat Council election was held on Sunday, 5th June, with 17 parties competing for 11,622 Commune Sankrat seats nationwide from 1,652 communes. The preliminary results released by the NEC show that more than 7.3 million people went to vote for the election, equivalent to more than 80% of the 9.2 million registered voters. Darshana Guchin, EAC News.
The Royal Government has begun the rollout of its 5th dose of vaccination campaign for priority groups on Thursday the 9th of June. Those priority groups include government officials, armed forces and police, the elderly, the staff and embassies and international organisations and more. A senior official from the Ministry of Health has also confirmed that the 5th dose will not be the last. EAC News reporter Decca Nin has more.
The Secretary of State for the Ministry of Health and Chairperson of the Commission for the COVID-19 vaccine, Dr. Alvan Din, has confirmed that the COVID-19 vaccine does not provide long-lasting immunity like other vaccines and will require regular booster vaccinations every 3 or 4 months. Hence, she called on all frontline workers and other target groups to receive the 5th dose.
ខ្ញុំសូមអនុញ្ញាតជំរាបជូនថាវ៉ាក់សាំងយើងមានអត់ខ្វះទេវ៉ាក់សាំងដែលយើងមាននៅក្នុងដៃបច្ចុប្បន្ននេះគឺ9លានដូសជាងចាដែលយើងមាននៅក្នុងឃ្លាំងហើយចំនួនវ៉ាក់សាំងនេះគឺគ្រប់គ្រាន់សម្រាប់ផ្ដល់ជូនទៅដល់បងប្អូនជាពលរដ្ឋទាំងដូសទី3ទាំងដូសទី4និងការដំណើរការនៃការចាក់ដូសទី5នាពេលបច្ចុប្បន្ននេះផងដែរចាអញ្ចឹងសូមបងប្អូនកុំមេត្តាព្រួយបារម្ភអីហើយវ៉ាក់សាំងនឹងមានមកជាបន្តទៀតការចាក់វ៉ាក់សាំង COVID-19 ដូសទី5ថ្ងៃនេះមិនមែនជាដូសចុងក្រោយទេចាយើងនឹងមានការចាក់ជាបន្តទៀតមូលហេតុអីមូលហេតុដោយសារវ៉ាក់សាំងនេះវាមិនបានផ្ដល់នៅភាពស៊ាំនឹងបានយូរដោយវ៉ាក់សាំងផ្សេងៗទៀតទេ
The Ministry of Health will provide the 5th dose of the COVID-19 vaccine to the leaders of the royal government, Senate and National Assembly, frontline doctors, both public and private, government officials, members of the army, national police and other local authorities, elderly citizens over the age of 60, staff of embassies, national and international organizations, journalists, members of the Cambodian Artistic Association, people with weakened immune systems, and people over the age of 12 who have already received the 4th dose of the COVID-19 vaccine with consideration of the required 3-month gap between doses starting from Thursday, 9th of June onwards. Documents required when going to get vaccinated include a COVID-19 vaccination card, civil servant ID or contracted official ID card, Cambodian ID card, or other document used to register for the first dose of the vaccine. Early in the morning of the first day of the 5th dose campaign, government officials came out to receive their COVID-19 vaccines at the designated locations. Meng Kim Ho, the Deputy Director General at the National Institute of Statistics of the Ministry of Planning, came to receive the vaccine at Ong Duong Hospital. He said he was happy that the government had given him a 5th dose to protect himself, even despite being vaccinated 4 times prior, as he has many work assignments both inside and outside the country.
I think that COVID-19 may still be an issue or may continue to occur. Even though I've been vaccinated 4 times, the prevention of COVID-19 by the royal government through the provisions of the 5th dose for government officials and frontline officials is great. I often have missions in provinces and both inside and outside the country. So I have to come and get the 5th dose to prevent getting COVID-19.
Lee To, a retired Ministry of Education official who received the 5th dose, expressed her happiness and gratitude to the government for providing the 5th dose.
To get vaccinated is to take care of our own health, and the Prime Minister has said to go and get vaccinated, so we should get vaccinated for our own health and safety. Thank you to the royal government, especially Prime Minister Hun Sen, for extending kindness to the people, regardless of color, status, or party affiliation. What's important is to stop the spread of COVID-19. I am very happy to see on TV that Cambodia is the 2nd highest ranked country in defending against COVID-19.
Prime Minister Hun Sen frequently urges members of the public to get the COVID-19 vaccine. In a special audio message released on the 1st of June, the Prime Minister once again urged people to get vaccinated to protect themselves from COVID-19, even though Cambodia has not detected any cases for many days. He told his compatriots that from 2024 to 2026, Cambodia will use locally packaged COVID-19 vaccines, as the royal government will be supplied with nearly 35 million doses of COVID-19 vaccines per year. He said in the 3 years from 2024 to 2026, more than 104 million doses of the COVID-19 vaccine will be packaged in Cambodia. The Prime Minister added that from 2022 until 2023, Cambodia will use the vaccines that have either been donated from other countries or purchased. He emphasized that even when providing the 10th dose of the vaccine, the royal government will not charge people money. As of Wednesday, 8th of June 2022, 94.06% of the 16 million population in Cambodia has been vaccinated, of which 100.64% are 17 years old, 109.19% are between the ages of 6 to 11, and 133.36% are 5 years old. These percentages include both locals and foreigners. Dekanin, EAC News.
The Cambodian Minister of Labour, It Sam Heng, gave thanks to extended his high appreciation for the achievements made by the International Labour Organisation, which has continued to significantly contribute to the socio-economic development of Cambodia, as well as other member countries, through a launch of a program promoting social justice and decent work for workers. The Minister of Labour made this statement at the 110th session of the International Labour Conference in Switzerland on Wednesday, the 8th of June. EAC News reporter Dashana Guchin has the details.
Minister Ut Sam Heng stated that the ILO is an important development partner of the Cambodian government, who has, through the continued implementation of programs such as the Better Factories Cambodia project, played an important role in improving working conditions and developing the textile, garment, and footwear industry in Cambodia. In addition, Cambodia has been implementing a decent work program in 5 phases since 2005. The 5th phase, from 2019 to 2023, was organized to coincide with the 50th anniversary of Cambodia's ILO membership. The royal government of Cambodia strongly hopes that the ILO's fundamental principles, which focus on tripartite mechanisms and social dialogue, will be able to address the issues at hand and achieve the ILO mission to continue promoting decent and productive work for everyone. A series of global outbreaks of COVID-19 since 2019 have severely affected global social and economic development and caused the loss of tens of millions of lives, job insecurity, and lost income. The Labour Minister said during the international conference that the royal government of Cambodia has launched and successfully implemented a 10-round package of intervention measures focusing on 4 pillars: the fight against COVID-19, livelihood stabilization, especially for the poor and vulnerable, as well as the unemployed, keeping businesses afloat and maintaining jobs, security, public order, and social stability. He said, the government has implemented measures to address the impact on employers and workers, including allowing severely affected factories to suspend their employment contracts, receive subsidies and soft skills training, facilitating of duties and vaccinations for workers in factories and enterprises, improving working conditions and occupational safety and health, protecting the rights and freedoms of professional organizations, maintaining harmonization in industrial relations and providing social protection to workers, both domestic and Cambodian migrant workers, in accordance with the policies of the royal government, national laws and regulations in force, as well as the ILO convention that Cambodia has ratified. Minister Ut Sam Heng confirmed that he supported the recommendations made in the report by the ILO Director General, Guy Ryder, titled The Least Developed Countries: Crisis, Structural Transformation, and the Future of Work. The content of the draft report on decent work and the social and solidarity economy, as well as the global call to action for a human-centered recovery from the COVID-19 crisis that is inclusive, sustainable, and resilient, that will contribute to achieving the common goals of the 2030 Agenda of the United Nations National Sustainable Development Strategies and the ILO historic mandate to achieve social justice and social work for all. Cambodia became a member of the ILO in 1969. Since the early 1990s, the ILO has been an active partner in Cambodia's economic, social, and democratic restoration, playing a key role in helping to restore livelihoods, create sustainable jobs, rebuild infrastructure, and strengthen democratic institutions. According to the ILO, although the poverty rate continues to decline in Cambodia, rural poverty remains high at 40%. 85% of the population work in the informal economy, mostly in agriculture, forestry, and fisheries, and in small and medium enterprises. The formal sector of clothing and tourism is the main engine of growth, with garment production accounting for 80% of Cambodia's exports and employing more than 600,000 workers, mostly women. Darshana Gochan, EAC News.
The Director General of Phnom Penh Water Supply Authority, Long Naro, said that the Water Supply Authority has requested the Japanese side to include 2 more areas in the Phnom Penh Water Master Plan, as the area is highly developed. EAC News reporter Deccan Nin has more details.
Speaking at a press conference on the current water supply in Phnom Penh, Long Naro said that the water supply in Phnom Penh does not yet meet the demand. While in 2030, the average amount of water used may be increased to 1.5 million cubic meters per day. Hence, more factories must be built based on conducted studies to ensure the needed supply of 1.8 million cubic water will be met to cover the calculated water shortage. Long Naro further suggested that development partners, including Japan, should include the area of the new airport in Takmai City and the Rexat area in the master plan for water development. He said, regarding the other two areas, the area of the new airport in Takmai City and the other exact area, which I think one day will become a large development area, I have asked the Japanese side to include these two locations in the master plan of the Phnom Penh Water Supply Authority. One area is the south of Takmai City, where the new airport will be, and the other is the area in Araksat, which is opposite of Chorchongwa. The Phnom Penh Water Supply Authority has stated that Phnom Penh currently has a water shortage problem. The water supply is currently pumped from the river to the reservoir at a rate of about 1,000 to 2,000 cubic meters per hour, equal to 24,000 to 48,000 cubic meters per day. Long Naro said meeting the needed water supply is crucial as more people continue to come live in the capital city during the dry season and the water level of the Mekong River is especially low. The Director General of the Phnom Penh Water Supply Authority has, however, claimed that by the end of 2023, all Phnom Penh residents will have enough water. And from the beginning of 2024, the Water Supply Authority also ensures that there will no longer be any problems with the water supply in the capital city. Nekanin, EAC News.
The All India Football Federation has apologised to the Football Federation of Cambodia for any inconvenience caused to the Cambodian players during their trip to India. Those issues include the lack of reception for Cambodian players and the problem that occurred while playing the Cambodian national anthem at the start of the match. EAC News reporter Dashana Guchin has the details.
In a letter sent on Wednesday, 8th June, Anil Kamat, the Assistant General Secretary of the All India Football Federation and captain of the 2023 Asian Championships, thanked the Cambodian team for its cooperation in resolving the issues surrounding their hotel arrangement in Kolkata and said he will ensure that such incidents do not occur again in the future. The match director also apologized for the issue which occurred while playing the Cambodian national anthem before the match. He said, the issues related in playing the Cambodian national anthem were discussed with the technical team and was informed that it was due to technical fault at the screen. Our entire team will work hard to see that such incidents are not repeated during the remaining matches of the competition and at the team hotel. On Wednesday night, when Cambodia played against India in the 2023 AFC Asian Cup final qualifying round, the Cambodian national anthem did not play when it was supposed to due to technical problems which postponed the game for 7 minutes. Since this incident, Cambodian people have expressed great dissatisfaction with India's shortcomings. Hun Mani, Member of Parliament and President of the Union Youth Federations of Cambodia, called on his compatriots to be patient, wait for an explanation and focus on supporting the Cambodian national football team in the next 2 games, following the incident with the Cambodian national anthem. According to a message posted by Hun Mani on his Facebook page on Friday morning, 9th June, when a football match is won or lost, it is part of the game, while the level of hospitality received depends on the host country or venue. He said at the very least, however, one must be very careful when it comes to playing the national anthem for the visiting country. He further wrote, I watched closely what happened yesterday during the AFC Asian Cup when Cambodia played India and what happened during the Cambodian national anthem. Whether it was a bug or technical problem, I hope there is enough explanation for this. Hun Mani said that he supports the Football Federation of Cambodia seeking further answers and explanations from the AFC and the host country, who will be on high alert for future events to prevent such a problem from occurring again for all teams. In addition, he asked the president of the Football Federation of Cambodia, General Sao Sokha, to continue taking all necessary measures to protect the Cambodian national team when they go abroad. The 18th edition of the AFC Asian Cup will take place in 2023, organized by the Asian Football Confederation. The football competition will run from 16th June to 16th July 2023. The tournament will feature 24 national teams following the expansion of the AFC Asian Cup in 2019, including the host country. Qatar is the current defending champions. Darshana Gochan, EAC News.
If it's happening and you need to know about it, you'll get it all right here. EAC News brings you updates and breaking news in English across all of our platforms and channels. The EAC News app, YouTube, Facebook, Telegram, Twitter, and our website www.eacnews.asia. Join me and the rest of the EAC News team every day on your favorite channels. EAC News, Cambodia made clear.
China urged the United States and Australia to stop fabricating and spreading false information. China also told the US, Australia and the UK to come clean over the nuclear weapon material transferred involved in the UCAS.
A meeting of the International Atomic Energy Agency Board of Governors was held in Vienna, Austria on Monday. It is the third time that the IAEA board meeting has incorporated the AUKUS issue into its agenda, reflecting the serious concerns of the international community over the trilateral deal. The meeting decided by consensus to set up a formal agenda item on the transfer of nuclear materials in the context of AUKUS and its safeguard in all aspects under the NPT. At China's proposal, Wang said, who added that the nuclear weapons materials involved in trilateral nuclear submarine cooperation should not be kept outside the international non-proliferation regime. This fully reflects the concerns of the international community over the transfer of nuclear weapons materials involved in the nuclear submarine cooperation among the United States, the United Kingdom, and Australia. The three countries must face up to the concerns of the international community. The self-deceiving tricks will never work, said Wang. Wang called on the three countries to adopt a responsible attitude toward the international community, fulfill their legal obligations on nuclear non-proliferation, and immediately and comprehensively report to the IAEA all relevant information about the nuclear weapon material transfer under AUKUS. Wang expressed hope that the IAEA board meeting will continue to focus on the core issues of AUKUS and seek solutions to safeguard the NPT and the international non-proliferation regime. In September 2021, the United States, the United Kingdom, and Australia announced the establishment of AUKUS, under which the US and Britain will assist Australia in its acquisition of nuclear-powered submarines. A Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesman on Tuesday urged Australia to stop engaging in provocations against China. Spokesman Zhao Lijian made the remarks in response to the latest statement made by Australian Department of Defense, which says an Australian warplane was intercepted by Chinese military aircraft on May 26 while conducting the reconnaissance mission in airspace over the South China Sea. On May 26, an Australian Air Force P-8 maritime surveillance aircraft entered the airspace close to China's Seychelles Island for close-in reconnaissance and continuously approached the territorial airspace of the Seychelles Islands in disregard of China's repeated warnings. The Chinese PLA Southern Theater Command organized naval and air forces to identify and verify the Australian aircraft and warned it to leave, said Zhao. The Australian side sought to confound black and white and repeatedly spread the false narrative, which is aimed at inciting antagonism and confrontation. China is firmly against this. We urge the Australian side to immediately stop such dangerous and provocative acts and seriously dissuade its air and naval forces from such acts. Otherwise, any serious consequence arising therefore shall be borne by the Australian side, Zhao continued. The spokesman also said that a sound and steady China-Australia relationship serves the fundamental interests and meet the common desire of the two peoples. China's position on its relation with Australia is consistent and clear. The Australian side needs to manage the bilateral relations in the spirit of mutual respect and mutual benefit and bring China-Australia relations back onto the right track of sound and steady progress, said Zhao. China also urged the United States to stop fabricating and spreading false information and stop being proud as an empire of lies, said Foreign Ministry spokesman Zhao Lijian at a press briefing in Beijing on Wednesday. Zhao made the remarks after the U.S. Department of Homeland Security has been forced to pause the work of the Disinformation Governance Board only 21 days after being established by the U.S. government amid strong questioning voices. The board head, Nina Jankovic, also resigned after the program was paused. The Disinformation Governance Board deserves to be questioned, since the U.S. government itself is the world's biggest spreaders of false information, said Zhao. The U.S. politicians can tell lies as they wish, but it's the ordinary people who fall victim to false information, even at the cost of their lives, he said, citing the civilians in Iraq and Syria, for example. Zhao pointed out that at the early stages of the COVID-19 outbreak, the U.S. government played down the severity and urgency of the novel coronavirus transmission and instead persisted in spreading false information about the source of the virus. The misinformation on the epidemic made the U.S. the country worst hit by the epidemic with the world's most cases and deaths, he said. The more lies the U.S. government tells, the more its reputation deficits will be. The U.S. should stop fabricating and spreading false information and no longer be proud as being an empire of lies, says the spokesman.
A wildfire engulfed a Spanish mountainside on Wednesday, the 8th of June, forcing evacuation of dozens of residents in the town of Balaverdes near Mangala. The fire, which started in Panjada Mountain, caused a huge cloud of smoke that could be seen from kilometres away. Police officers assisted evacuation residents in the southern Spanish town, while restaurant workers carried out outdoor tables and chairs inside. Donald and Gillian McMichael, British citizens now residing in Balaverdes, said they have been instructed to evacuate but unclear how long they would need to be away from their home.
Well, we've been told we need to evacuate, and that's obviously important. So we're going back to our apartment now to collect a few bits and pieces, and we will be leaving the village. Whether they'll be able to get in touch with us or anybody else during the night, whether we're expected to come back, we just wait and see. We were here and that was okay. We didn't need to evacuate last year, so this is obviously a more serious fire.
Andalicia's Regional Forest Fire Agency said 140 firefighters were tracking the blaze, supported by 15 aircraft, and the Spanish military unit was also being deployed on Wednesday night to assist with the efforts. Wind gusts of 40 kilometres per hour are making the fire to advance 30 metres per minute, Infoxia added. US President Joe Biden welcomed presidents from across the region in Los Angeles on Wednesday, the 8th of June, for the Summit of the Americas.
U.S. President Joe Biden arrived in Los Angeles, California on Wednesday, 8th June, where regional leaders gathered for the 9th Summit of the Americas, whose agenda has been undermined by discord over the guest list. Seeking to counter China's growing clout, a senior administration official said President Joe Biden is offering America's neighbors to the south an alternative that calls for increased U.S. engagement, including stepped-up investment, strengthening supply lines, and building on existing trade deals. However, Biden's America's Partnership for Economic Prosperity, which still appears to be a work in progress, stops short of offering tariff relief and, according to the U.S. official, will initially focus on like-minded partners that already have U.S. trade accords. Negotiations are expected to begin in early fall, the official added. Biden was due to outline his plan in a speech later on Wednesday to formally open the summit, which was originally conceived as a platform to showcase U.S. leadership in reviving Latin American economies and tackling migratory pressures. But Biden's agenda has been marred by partial boycott by leaders upset at Washington's decision to exclude Cuba, Venezuela, and Nicaragua from the summit. U.S. officials hope the Summit of the Americas in Los Angeles and a parallel gathering of top business executives can pave the way for greater economic cooperation as regional nations grappling with higher inflation work to bring supply chains stretched by the COVID-19 pandemic closer to home. Washington, which already has a combined trade pact with Canada and Mexico, a collective one with Central America, and a series of bilateral agreements in the region, will attempt to develop new customs, digital trade, labor, environmental, and corporate accountability standards, according to the official. Before the event, the Biden administration unveiled a new proposed U.S. economic partnership with Latin America. Advancing democracy and tackling climate change are some of the goals of this year's Summit of Americas, said U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken on Wednesday, 8th June. Blinken and OAS Secretary General Luis Almagro kicked off a ministerial meeting during the third day of the Los Angeles summit. This is the first time since 1994, when the gathering first took place in Miami, that the United States is hosting the Summit of the Americas in Los Angeles. At the event, President Joe Biden will seek to address regional migration and economic challenges.
Now let's have a look at the weather and what you can expect for tomorrow. And finally, using sunlight, sand and eggs among the unusual materials, Egyptian Hossam Gamal creates portraits of famous personalities in captivity ways.
The 32-year-old said that he is willing to do anything for the love of art as he stood in the sun holding a magnifying glass to burn wood in the form of an artwork depicting Marilyn Monroe. Gamal said he practices his art as a hobby. While he works for an infrastructure company, it is his unique portrait drawings that give him joy. He said that one should not let go of their hobby as it is what gives them purpose in life. Other artworks of his depicts Egyptian soccer player Mohamed Salah, which he created by throwing sand over the glue-painted portrait he first drew, or the Mona Lisa painting prepared by cooking fried eggs in its form.
Thank you for watching the Daily Roundup here on EAC News Channel. For more breaking news and updates, check our website eacnews.asia or search EAC News on Telegram, Smart TV or your favourite app store. More from the EAC News team tomorrow night at 8 p.m. We'll see you then.